count until 5, for example,
Yeah.
right? And I'm aware to the pain in my back, aware to the question I want to ask, aware to the memory or whatever, but I'm not taken by it, I'm aware. It's like the side talk that you said before. Am I supposed to count, if I would be counting from 1 to 5, should I start again to go back to number 1 if I'm aware of the pain?
No. I mean, there's different ways of counting, okay? And so one way that I learned is you breathe in and breathe out, and then count 1, breathe in, breathe out 2, and so on. And then you can choose how far you want to go, 5, 10, 20, whatever. Or just continue counting until your mind wanders away. So that's one way, but there's also other ways of counting the breaths that you can find in different books, different teachers, and so on. So it's not like there's fixed rules that, you know, everybody agrees on and teaches to people and everybody has to follow. It's not like that at all. In fact, Alan Wallace, he's so funny. He said the thing about counting is a little bit like, you know, when we're kids and we're learning to ride a bicycle, and the first bicycle may have what they call training wheels on it. Remember that? These 2 extra wheels on the back so that you don't fall over. And then after a while, once you learn how to ride, you can take away the training wheels and then just ride with the 2 wheels. So counting the breath is like the training wheels on the bike. You know, it's just to help you to get stable on the object. And then once you have stability, you don't have to count anymore. So counting is completely optional. Does that make sense? So it's just like a method, a tool to help you get some stability on the breath as your object. But after a while, well, if and when, you know, you don't need that anymore, you can dispense with the counting and just stay with the breath. Yeah. So anyway, that's just about counting. But then with your question was, so if there's other stuff happening while you're watching and counting one breath,
And I'm carried away with it.
yeah, you don't have to come back. Yeah, you can just keep counting after that, because that's actually, you know, being able, you are with your object. You haven't forgotten. You haven't wandered away to these other thoughts. It's just that, you know, they're happening while you're watching your breath, but you notice that they're happening, and that's fantastic. Yeah, it means we're becoming more aware, more mindful of what's happening in our mind. And like him and children said, you know, you can't expect that you're going to stop the thoughts popping up. They're going to keep popping up for a long, 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 long time. But we get to where we're not so bothered by them, and we learn to just notice them and not go off with them, not get carried away with them. So it sounds like you were able to do that, to notice these things, but at the same time still be aware of the breath. And yeah, so this thing about coming back to 1 when your mind wanders away, that's again a kind of a helpful tool to just recognize how long you can go, how far you can go in your counting before your mind goes off. So then you can, it kind of gives you a challenge to try to go further. 2 breaths, 3 breaths, 4 breaths. And it's really exciting when you can get up to 10 breaths without losing it. But you shouldn't get too excited, because then that will disturb your mind.
First of all, thank you. And I have a request. In the previous lesson, you were talking about not the Mahayana, the Theravada. You said that their basic is ethics, shamatha, and then wisdom. And what's the Mahayana stages and practices?
Yeah, I didn't get around to talking to him. Well, I guess in Mahayana the equivalent of that would be the 6 perfections, the 6 paramitas. Some of you probably know those. Can you mention it? What's number one?
Generosity.
Giving or generosity. Number two? Ethics. So that's the same. Because we actually have those three things within the 6 perfections, but there's a few additional ones. So giving, ethics. Number 3?
Patience.
Patience. Very important one. Number 4?
Joyful effort.
Joyous effort. Number 5? Concentration. Number 6? Wisdom. Okay, so number 1, number 5, and number 6 are the same as those 3 in the Theravada, but there's additional ones. There's giving, patience, and joyous effort. So additional ones. That's one difference. But another difference would be the motivation for practicing. So if I was a Theravada practitioner and I'm keeping my vows, practicing ethics, my motivation would be I want to get out of samsara. I want to get out of suffering. I want to stop suffering and the causes of suffering and reach nirvana. That's my motivation, which is great, fantastic. But a Mahayana practitioner, which I'm supposed to be, would be practicing ethics not just for myself to get out of suffering, but because I want to help all other beings. I want to get to Buddhahood and full enlightenment, and then be able to help all living beings reach enlightenment. So the practice is the same, the ethics is the same, but the reason for practicing it, the motivation for practicing it, is somewhat different. Does that make sense? Joyous effort means being happy, being joyful, being enthusiastic to do good things, to create good karma, help others. So it's the opposite of laziness. Yeah? Laziness is... we know what laziness is, just not wanting to do anything, just wanting to lie around, lie on the beach, lie in your easy chair, drink beer, fall asleep, whatever. Just not having the enthusiasm to do worthwhile things with your time, with your life, with your energy, helping others. I mean, of course, we do need to relax sometimes. We can't just be going. Although my teacher, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, he doesn't even sleep. He's going all day, all night, doing things, practicing. Either he's practicing himself, teaching others, doing things to help others. So some people are able to just keep going. But that's exceptional. So most of us, we need to sometimes have a break and rest and relax. But know when it's time to stop that and go off and do things. Anyway, so joyous effort means just having this joyful energy to help others, to continue with your Dharma practice, to improve your mind, not getting tired, not getting bored, not being lazy about it. So it's more like a quality that we bring to our practice. Does that make sense?
Thinking about the motivation that you need all the time to get to yourself to be in this state of mind.
How to get that motivation? Yeah. Well, we have in our tradition, I mentioned it before, this series of teachings called the Long Rim, which means stages of the path to enlightenment. And it's something that was developed in Tibet, because Buddha taught a lot, like lots and lots of teachings for 45 years. So there's a lot of information there. So what they did was they took the main points of the Buddha's teachings and then arranged them in a step-by-step way. How you actually go on the path to enlightenment, what you do first and next, and so on and so on. And so the long rim consists of these different topics that you meditate on. First, ideally you hear teachings, you hear explanations, you read about them, and then you meditate on them. purpose of that is to change your mind, change your attitude. So just some of those topics, just to mention some of those topics. One of them is what's called the precious human life, precious human rebirth. And this is actually based on a kind of teaching that the Buddha gave. One time the Buddha was with some of his disciples, and he said, imagine if the whole world was covered with water, like one huge ocean. And in the ocean, down at the bottom, is a tortoise. And once in 100 years, the tortoise gets to come up and put its head above the water, only for a moment, and then back down again. And also the tortoise is blind, can't even see. Then, on the surface of this ocean is this ring, like a yoke, like a lifesaver they have in ships, round, with a circle in the middle. Golden yoke. And it's floating here and there. It's never in the same place. So the wind, the waves, the tide, it's always moving it around. So he says, imagine that situation. Now, when that tortoise goes to the top of the water and sticks its head above the water, what are the chances that it will stick its head right in the middle of this golden ring? How likely is that? What do you think? Almost impossible. Right? And so then the Buddha said, in the same way, it's very rare to be born as a human being, and it's very rare to have the opportunity to meet the teachings, the Dharma, the teachings that show us our potential, how to develop our potential, how to reach enlightenment. So he says, now you have both of these situations. Don't waste your time. So this is like a really important teaching that, right now we have this life, human life. There's lots of other lives in the world, in the universe, not just human, but animal, insect, and so on. And most of them are not in very good conditions, very good situations. They have a lot of problems, a lot of suffering, and also they don't have the intelligence that we have to be able to understand what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's not good, and so on. So as human beings, we have a special kind of situation. And not only that, but we have the chance to learn these teachings about the path to enlightenment, which will, if we learn them and practice them, we can transform ourselves and become enlightened. And again, it's very rare among the 7 billion human beings in the world. Not everybody has this opportunity. I mean, even some who have it don't use it. They're not interested. They're not interested in the spiritual path. They're not interested in meditation. So the number of human beings who have both a human life and the interest in the Dharma are relatively rare, relatively small. So the point is, if we have this situation, we should use it, because it's not going to last forever. Our life is, 90 years, 95 years, 100 years at the most, maybe a little more than 100, but not much more than that, So we have a limited amount of time and a lot to do. So if you think in that way, that gives energy. If you really see the value of your life, the value of spiritual practice, meditation, and so on, then, and the limited amount of time that we have, that gives energy. So that's one example. There's some other things as well that can help to, get yourself moving, get yourself going. Also compassion and love, just seeing how much suffering there is in the world and realizing that it's pointless to just be upset about it and angry about it and complain about it. Let's do something about it, okay? Let's do something positive and constructive about relieving the suffering. So compassion is another motivating factor. Just wanting to help as many people and beings as possible to have less suffering, even though you may not be able to help everybody, but just doing as much as possible. So that's also a way to get a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of energy. Does that make sense?
You're giving the example of the cat focusing on the mouse.
Yeah.
But yes, he's focusing, but although he's very focused, he's not making a conscious effort to do so. It's like an instinct. So when our object of meditation becomes, when we arrive in a situation in which we don't have to put our conscious effort to focus on the meditation, it's like, just like an instinct for the cat, is it loses value or becoming not beneficial.
I'm not sure I fully understand the question. You're saying the cat has no effort or intention. It's just instinct to focus on the mouse or whatever. And in our case, it's different.
Does the conscious effort have value?
Conscious effort, does it have value?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Because otherwise, like the mouse can be more advanced than us.
Otherwise, what?
The mouse would be more advanced. The cat.
The cat.
Would be more
Yeah.
advanced than us.
No. I didn't. No. The point I was trying to make there was the difference between just concentration and calm abiding, because calm abiding is said to be a kind of concentration, a type of concentration, but it's a special type of concentration. It's not like ordinary concentration, because ordinary concentration can be found in just about anybody, everybody, even an animal, a tennis player, a hunter, students concentrating on their studies for an exam. So I think just about everybody does have, at certain times, concentration. But that kind of concentration and what we're trying to do in meditation, they're not exactly the same. Yeah? Because like you said, that kind of concentration could just be instinctive, or it could be motivated by attachment, or by aversion, hatred. So it could be motivated in a kind of negative way. Whereas when we're practicing calm abiding, hopefully, ideally, we're doing it with a positive motivation. We want to improve our mind, do something positive with our mind, help others, and so on. So you're right, we're making a conscious effort to do it, and ideally it is a positive motivation. But even, I was thinking about Milarepa. I don't know if the story of Milarepa. He was this famous Tibetan yogi, meditator. And in the earlier part of his life, he had a sort of tragic life. And his mother sort of pushed him to learn black magic, to get revenge on this wicked uncle who deprived the family of their heritage. Anyway, so he went to some teacher and learned black magic. And it sounds like meditation. It sounds like he actually went into retreat, and he, worked really hard on his mind, and he developed these powers that he could use to cause hailstorms and destroy buildings, and so he actually
Run very fast.
he did some bad stuff. He killed people and animals and so on. So, but it sounds like he did that with some kind of concentration. Yeah. So he had really good concentration, but it was used not in a beneficial way, in a harmful way. And then later, fortunately, he went to a Buddhist teacher, learned the Buddhist teachings, and practiced those, and attained enlightenment in the same lifetime. So what I was trying to say was that even concentration used in some kind of meditative state isn't always beneficial. It depends on the motivation, and also depends on what you do with it, how you use it. So we're trying to develop this state of mind that's concentrated and focused, but we're trying to do it with a beneficial intention, positive in motivation, and to use it in a positive way, in a beneficial way, and not in a harmful way. So I guess the point I was making was, concentration in itself isn't really good or bad. Depends on what you do with it, how you use it, what your motivation is, and so on. But this is my thought, but some Buddhist teachers might disagree with me, and they would say that this cat, for example, focusing on the mouse, that isn't really concentration. That's something else. So they might say that, no, concentration is only something positive, something virtuous when we practice meditation. So it's something that you might have different opinions about. Oh, yes.
I think it's a little bit misleading. The word concentration is connected in our mind to making an effort. And I think the concentration, at least I'm aiming to, is an effortless concentration. In one hand, you are very concentrated. On the other hand, you are very relaxed. And I bring it in the meditation, I try to bring it to my body. So first I try to relax all my body, and then I try to bring some concentration into the meditation. So in one hand I'm very relaxed, and I'm ready, I'm looking all around, and on the other hand I'm relaxed.
Yeah. Have you heard Alan Wallace speak?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because that's the point that he makes.
Yeah.
And
The soldier.
huh?
With the example of the soldier, who is, if he's concentrated, if he's having a strenuous concentration, he can be really ready from all sides. So he has to be ready for all sides. Be concentrated, but be aware of what's happening all around.
Yeah. So I actually had that in my notes to talk about, but I didn't get around to it. But this word concentration, I don't know how it sounds in Hebrew, but in English, just the sound of concentration, it can give the idea that you have to sort of squeeze yourself and concentrate. And in fact, in the Tibetan teachings on how to develop calm abiding, they do talk about this. They do say, that, especially in the beginning, you have to have very tight focus. It almost sounds like you have to really strain yourself and push yourself. But Alan Wallace talks about this because he said, in the early days when he was first a monk and studying and practicing, he went into retreat to develop calm abiding. I don't know how long he was in retreat for, but this is what he was doing. He was like really pushing himself really, really hard, and he said he found it was counterproductive. And so he really emphasizes the importance of being relaxed. That relaxation is an important element. They don't normally talk about it, at least in the Gelugpa tradition, maybe in other traditions. Relaxation is not one of the qualities you're supposed to have. But he says, but we Westerners are different. Tibetans and maybe many Asian people, they know how to relax. They're very relaxed, naturally. Yeah? You've been to Asia. If you've been to Asia, you can see it. They're kind of taking it easy. They really know how to relax. So for them, maybe they do need to kind of make strong effort when it comes to meditation. But us, we're already so tight and tense, and, we need to learn how to relax. So when he teaches calm abiding, he talks about the importance of relaxation and really, really, really relaxed. So you're right, this word concentration can be misleading, and maybe, maybe we need to find a different word. Actually, I've seen some teachers and materials about meditation that use the word presence, which I think is a nice word because it means just being present. What's happening right here, right now, presence. Yeah? And also presence is the opposite of being in the past, being in the future, being somewhere else. being right here, right now. So maybe that would be a better word. I don't know. I'm just, but what you say is right. I do agree with you that we need to be relaxed, but not too relaxed. If we're too relaxed, then the mind is just all over the place. So relaxed, but alert and present. Yeah? But thank you for bringing that up. And also, yeah, it is important physically to be relaxed. Because often, because of our lifestyle and maybe things going on in our mind, we're often tense without even knowing it, without even realizing it. It's almost like our body, that's our default mode, being tense. So I didn't do that here, but when I lead meditation, I sometimes first take people through a body scan, just going through the body, either top of the head down, or you can start with the feet and go up. Just go through the body and see if there's tension. If there is, let it go. And I find when I do that myself, it really helps. You can get yourself into a relaxed state of mind, relaxed physical state. It's easier to meditate. It's easier to keep your mind relaxed and focused. Whereas if there's tension in your body and you don't let it go, it stays there, then that becomes like a kind of hindrance to your meditation. So thank you for sharing that. Mm-hmm.
That's why when we are in lovely kindness, the way that we are meditate is more relaxed at the beginning. Because the lovely kindness, as I experienced it, it was like a very soft move to be in meditation.
Mm.
And also the way that I was dealing with my thoughts were very soft.
Mm.
So the intention of lovely kindness
Yeah.
makes the concentration of the meditation more relaxed at the beginning.
Yeah, that's a good point. Having kindness, bringing in kindness for yourself, for your body, for your mind, for whatever is happening inside of you, and whatever's out there around you. Yeah, makes the mind soft. And also our Western world and society and lifestyle and so on is often very competitive. There's a lot of, competitiveness and proving yourself and defending yourself and so on. So again, this is often a kind of default mode that one has. And if you're not aware of it, you don't recognize it, then you're bringing that into your practice of meditation. Yeah? So again, there's this, I have to keep up with other people, or even do better than them, right? So that could be there in the background, yeah? And that's not a very positive state of mind to have in meditation. So kindness itself isn't always so easy, yeah? Loving kindness. Some people say, they find mindfulness and calm abiding, that kind of practice okay. But then when it comes to loving kindness, they get kind of stuck. Does anyone find that? I mean, I've even heard people say they find it fluffy. You know that word fluffy? Like teddy bears, We've grown out of that. We don't need that anymore. Something like that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Some people may feel that way, not everybody. Or another problem people sometimes have is they feel, I just can't feel it. Sometimes they sit through a loving kindness meditation, the teacher is telling them generate loving kindness, feel loving kindness, and they think, I don't feel it. I don't feel anything. It's like you're blank. You're cold, you're hard. Anyone had that experience before? It's just not there. You know, it's just a word, but no feeling.